So in the last 33 years of my life, I've just had one pet. That's right, just one. And I don't think I'll have another one. Not that I don't love animals. I mean, you clearly heard my career is dedicated towards the conservation and protection of these animals. But this decision is based on having found answers to some important ethical questions and understanding the responsibilities that come in with getting a pet at home. How did all of this begin, though? Let's travel back a little bit, maybe 12,000 years ago. The ice age has just ended, the earth is thawing. Humans, previously wanderers, have started settling in, planting crops, building communities, and then they make a pivotal discovery. Animals can actually help them survive, like for real. And from then on, this relationship transforms drastically. We begin domesticating animals as workers in our fields, as protectors of our homes, as companions by our hearts. This mutually beneficial relationship, for one reason or the other, has evolved over this shared history. Fast forward to today, in our urban jungles, animals, especially pets, have a quite different relationship with us. They are not mere companions or workers, they are our family members now. I mean, imagine saying the words owning a pet is almost like saying owning a spouse. People who love these animals no longer consider them as, something that they own. They are a part of their family. But I believe that as children, all of this begins quite early. I mean, we're all fond of animals as we grow up, in some form or the other. You can relate to an example where an excitable parent asks their baby the sound that a cow, a dog, or a cat makes. And you know what? Except for a fearful parent, or for that matter, a negative experience, we generally grow up liking animals. Their references are in our stories. We have stuffed toys and all of that. So that's typically how we begin with. So people generally keep pets for multiple reasons. Some, unfortunately, for the wrong reasons, where the pet ends up being a showpiece in their house. But some genuinely love these animals, and that's why they bring them home. Some, in fact, go to an extent that they want to help multiple animals because they can't end the suffering of all the animals that need help. In pandemic, scores of people got pets home. But there was an important question that needs to be asked in such a scenario, which is, do you have the time, the energy, the space, and the money to bring a pet home? These are critical and non-negotiable factors. I mean, having one in excess doesn't make up for the lack of the other. So when these people got these pets home in pandemic, a staggering amount of these pets have started developing now behavioral issues. They've started developing anxiety because their pet parents have started returning back to work now. And that's the reality. So, traditionally, when we think about pets, we think about cats, fish, guinea pigs, hamsters. But the most common one is dogs, correct? So let's talk about dogs. I mean, they depend on you for their entire life. Sure, they get toilet trained as puppies, but even then, at least for the next 10 to 12 years, they depend on you every single day to take them out to pee. If you're ready for that kind of a commitment, the next question generally that these days comes up is, do you shop or adopt? So according to a 2014 report, India had a staggering number of 59 million stray dogs. I mean, today I think the number might be around 70 or even 80 million. So that's a lot of dogs in our streets, right? And they're not there by their choice. They're there by their fate or circumstance. So, they do make great pets. I mean, if you look beyond their simplicity, these dogs are equally good, just like any other dog breed. They are equally livable, and they come in with some additional perks, like, they're super smart, they're healthy, and they're strong. But still, I mean, people keep going back to, no, I want a specific dog, or I want a specifically looking dog, and that's where the breeds come into play. So what breed should you get is the question that people ask. Now, sometimes people choose this breed based on merely how cute the dog looks, or how popular that breed is, where ideally, it should be based on this decision that what's the behavioral trait of that breed. Let's take an example, maybe Huskies, or Alaskan Malamutes, or St. Bernards for that matter. Now, these are dogs from colder climates that are working breeds, but they are bred so excessively in our country now. I mean, poor Husky is bred so extensively that they are left with no other choice but to adapt and evolve to our conditions. I mean, Huskies in India now are thinner, they have thinner coats than their OG counterparts in Siberia. So, I mean, don't just consider when you get a breed in that does it suit our climate, but most importantly, also look at that are you able to cater to its nutritional needs as well as the amount of exercise that it requires. And yes, if you decide to buy a dog, it's extremely important to buy that dog from an ethical breeder that is registered with your state animal welfare authority and not just a kennel club. It's important to ask yourself where and how are you sourcing your pet. It's as simple. I can draw an analogy here where, we have zero societal pressure, fortunately, in India to get a pet. Unlike the pressures of getting married or having children. So you have enough time to think through, and please do that. That's extremely important. Animals, like I said, were domesticated for a reason. So they were always meant to be with humans or under their supervision. A working animal cannot work on its own without its human counterpart supporting it. But somehow for companion animals, over the years, we tend to forget it or neglect that responsibility. The most common example in this case is cats. I mean, people just tend to assume that cats need to roam outdoors freely because that's what makes them happy. I mean, this assumption is based on what you see around you, generally, correct? So, I mean, most people shrug off that responsibility of providing that cat an indoor environment which is mentally stimulating and which allows the cat to express its natural behaviors at home. So what do? They let them out. Not only these cats run the risk of accidents, but they also express their natural behaviors on somebody else's private property then. I mean, imagine, would you let your child out, get into somebody's home, grab food from somebody's kitchen, or defecate in somebody's garden? Just food for thought. I mean, not only cats get hostility in such situations from people around, but they also express their natural behaviors by hunting wild birds. I mean, that's a severe threat to a lot of bird species. In fact, free-ranging or feral cats are known to be a major threat for local bird populations. You surely don't want your kitty to cost lives of other animals, right? And definitely not cause human-wildlife conflict. So, I mean, we don't intend this to happen, but we just don't think through that what is required for those animals. I think with domestic animals, we've covered about the two most common species. But I'll move on to another topic, which is the most disturbing and latest pet trends that you see in the country these days. And generally what these pet trends, like for example, are of animals like these. So, I mean, we are seeing at a generation here that is wanting to make wilder choices, no pun intended. Everybody wants that exotic animal to get into their house. Now, my association with these animals begins from the wild. I have seen a lot of these animals in the wild and spent a lot of time observing them. But you know what? When I see things like these, it's really disturbing for me because these animals get traded like commodities. They are held captive like hostages. But for a person who wants these animals at home, they have hardly seen these animals in the wild. The only thing that they can relate to for an animal is a cute video like this, where a wild animal is doing unnatural things for a few likes or comments, and a human is making them do that. So the trade for these animals has gone up so much that they are easily available online with just a few simple clicks now. People often consider that these cute little wild pets are convenient or easy to keep, but often forget how big this pet can grow to. I mean, take the sulcata for an example. It's the second largest land turtle species in the world, but commonly a victim of exotic pet trade. These tortoises might look very simple with their vegetarian diet, but after all, they are reptiles. They have special needs. They need to bask in the sun every single day to digest their food. They belong to areas that are, scrublands, semi-arid areas, almost like a desert. Can you recreate that environment at home? And why? I mean, the only logical reason that I can think of is to serve our own whims and fancies. I mean, that is it. Shockingly, over 9,000 of these tortoises were smuggled out of Africa in just 2 decades which is why I think the IUCN has put them on the endangered list. I recall a very particular distressing incident from 2021. A couple of people on Pune railway station were intercepted by the Pune police, and they were carrying one bag each, typically of the size of an airline cabin luggage. Stuffed in these bags were 1,200 iguanas and 300 sulcata tortoises. I mean, I know this particular case because my organization was directly involved in the care of these animals after they were seized. But countless such incidents happen every day, not just in our country, but over the world. The second most easiest example of pets is exotic pets, and that pets that become invasive, like this red-eared slider. I mean, it looks very cute, but believe me, they are a global menace. They not only invade our ecosystems, but they compete with local resources as well. I mean, only last year, I think in April, our team, along with Pune Forest Department, rescued 99 turtles from a couple of ponds at a temple near Pune. 63 of them were red-eared sliders. And the native Indian species were all battered, their shells eaten up, they were severely injured. How did these non-Indian turtles end up in those ponds in the first place? I mean, the answer is simple. Somebody who bought them on a whim suddenly decided that they didn't want it. And the best thing to do is let them go. And that's how the turtles end up there. That's how they were rescued, by the way. Now, this is quite disturbing. I mean, sometimes people keep these exotic pets as, fashion statements as well. But imagine the kind of journey that these pets have to go through to get here. Let me tell you that in a short. They are stuffed into bags, crammed into tiny cages where they can barely move. Majority of them don't even make it alive by the time they reach. Only a small percentage of these animals actually reach their destinations alive. Now step back and look at it from a global perspective. That is how you will realize why the illegal pet trade is actually the fourth largest transnational crime in the world after drugs, weapons, and human trafficking. I mean, that's the extent of the problem that we are dealing with right now. Looking at these grim realities, you might also realize that when these so-called exotic pets escape, they cause severe ecological disasters as well as public health and safety hazards. I mean, zoonosis or disease transfer is not a theoretical threat. It's a stark reality even in this day and age, and it happens. So when you think that should I get an exotic pet, don't just think about if you can provide it the right home. Think about if it's really necessary for that animal. And only if the answer is yes, only then do that act. When you get that pet home, it's important for you to declare that pet with the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. I mean, that's a mandate. Just to give you a correlation, do you just get married and sneak your partner home? You register that with the relevant authorities, right? So why not do that with a pet too? I would now start to move on the last part where, I come from a place where I've seen these animals in the wild. I relate to them as wild. They are an epitome of freedom for me. Only a handful of animals were domesticated, and that too for a reason. Countless other species remain wild, and if that hasn't been changed in so many years, why change that now? That too for no good reason. And if you think that by rescuing an animal from a pet store, especially an exotic wildlife, you are actually rescuing it from dire circumstances, always remember that demand breeds supply. By rescuing that one animal or taking that one animal out from that pet store, you are inadvertently creating space for the next one to come in and take that place, and the vicious cycle just continues. So, finally, the fundamental truth is domestic or wild, it really doesn't matter. Your responsibilities as pet owners begin from the very moment you think about bringing a pet home. And they continue till the last day of that animal's life. It's like marriage vows. For richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love, to cherish until death do us apart. That's the kind of commitment that you need to have, not only to that pet, but your entire family, because they are going to be sharing their homes with that animal. So I'd like to leave you with this final thought, that when we say we are rescuing or caring for these animals, are you really doing that? Or are we just fulfilling our desires at their expense? A pet is the responsibility of a lifetime of a kid that never grows up. Thank you.